When a man trusts only in God, he doesn't need to know the way. He only needs to know who is leading him. There is a kind of man the world doesn't always recognize. He walks quietly, without applause, without needing constant approval and reassurance. But don't be mistaken. He is not lost. He is led. He is not weak. He is anchored to the rock. If you've ever wondered what becomes of the man who trusts only God, look again. He may be hidden for a season. He may be misunderstood by many, but in time, God will honor that trust. And when he does, it won't be marked by the size of the man's platform, but by the weight of his presence, the depth of his confidence, and the nobility of his purpose. Because the man who trusts only in God is never truly alone, never truly defeated, never truly lacking. His faith doesn't just change the world around him, it transforms the world within him. He becomes a living testimony of what God can do through a soul fully surrendered, a heart that refuses to bow to anything but God's will. True faith doesn't always begin in comfort or in cathedrals. It often begins in solitude, in silence, in surrender. It is produced in the olive press. When iron is heated in the furnace and laid on the anvil, the blacksmith can then hammer the steel into something useful like a sword. He then grinds the edges until they are sharp. Then, the sword is heated again and quenched in oil to temper it. This is the process a man or woman of faith undergoes who follows the Lord, who places their trust in him alone. Not in the clamor of loud meetings, but in the quiet, hidden corners of life where no one claps and no one sees, where the soul is stripped of every distraction and every illusion of control. It begins when the plans we built without him start to collapse, one after another, until we are left standing with nothing but our breath and our trust in his strength, where our identity is rooted and grounded in his righteousness. This is not weakness. This is preparation. God does not remove people or plans to harm us. He removes what we once leaned on, so that we might finally lean on him alone. You see, God will not compete for your trust. He lets you choose. In the raw, unfiltered moments of loss, silence, and solitude, God begins his most important work. Not the visible kind you can boast about, but the hidden kind, the heart work. He lays down stone after stone, building a foundation, not of performance, but of unshakable faith. And he does it through waiting, through doubts, through letting you wrestle with questions, and still choose to say, God, I believe you. Surrender is not a single decision. It is a daily laying down of your understanding, your cares, your timing, your need for control. It is saying, day after day, even if you don't answer the way I hoped, I'll still follow. That kind of surrender, it terrifies the enemy. It places you inside a ring of fire that cannot be put out. Because a man or woman who has nothing left to lose but their intimacy with God is a force the world cannot shake. They will not sell their secret place with the Lord for worthless idols. You cannot bribe them with status. You cannot scare them with suffering. Their security is no longer rooted in circumstances. It's anchored in the one who holds the universe in the span of his hand. And the silence that once felt like abandonment becomes something else entirely. It becomes a meeting place where intimacy and oneness are cultivated. God teaches us to walk by faith, not by sight. He trains our ears to hear His whisper, even when our circumstances scream. He sharpens our spiritual vision until we begin to see past what is and into what is possible. When you begin to trust God, your countenance changes. Internal structures that were once broken and frail are made strong and straight and load-bearing. You stop chasing validation. You stop begging for circumstances to change. You stop panicking when the path doesn't unfold the way you planned. Why? Because you begin to understand. His plan is perfect. His silence is not His absence. His no is not rejection. His delays are not the final answer. In fact, His no is often the setup for a greater yes. And in that sacred surrender, you aren't just surviving. You are being transformed. Your character is proven. Your prayers have authority. Your strength is revealed. You're no longer building a life for the applause of man, but for the approval of Christ. And that changes everything. So what becomes of the man who trusts only God? He may walk quietly. He may be overlooked by the world, but in due time, God will honor him. And when He does, it will not be measured by fame or followers or fortune. It will be seen in the gravity of His character, the depth of His peace, and the unstoppable force of His divine purpose. Because He is no longer living for this world. He is living from a kingdom that cannot be shaken. He lives for Jesus Christ.